Do you feel any pressure to top that now?
Yes.
This new book? Really?
Sure.
And we did. We topped it.
Just a few years ago, in June 2021, Bill Clinton collaborated with the world-renowned author James Patterson to publish their second novel together, The President's Daughter. The political thriller showcased Clinton's intimate knowledge of the presidency and global affairs. Clinton is just one of the 5 living U.S. presidents, an elite group that has dwindled down to just a handful of men who have held the highest office in the nation. These 5 world leaders each left their distinctive imprint on the American story during their time in the White House. Now, we'll catch up with them to see what they're doing today and reflect on some of the most significant moments that defined their presidencies. From groundbreaking legislation to foreign policy challenges, their terms in office were marked by both triumphs and tribulations. Join us as we dive into the post-presidential lives of these rare individuals. What causes and passions drive them in this chapter of their lives? How do they hope to shape their legacies? And what insider stories can they share about their time as leader of the free world? Prepare to be intrigued as we reveal the answers to your burning questions in this exclusive look at America's living presidents: Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. Barack Obama, 2009 to 2017.
I confess, I heard some changes have been made by the current president since I was last here. Apparently Secret Service agents have to wear aviator glasses now.
Barack Obama made history in 2008 when he became the first African American to be elected president of the United States. He campaigned on a message of hope and change, promising to usher in a new era of progressive policies and reforms. During his 2 terms in office, Obama signed into law several major pieces of legislation that reshaped American society. One of his signature achievements was the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. The law expanded health insurance coverage to millions of previously uninsured Americans by creating new marketplaces for individual plans, providing subsidies to help people afford premiums, and allowing young adults to stay on their parents' plans until age 26. While controversial and opposed by Republicans, Obamacare has become a firmly entrenched part of the U.S. healthcare system. Obama also signed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act in response to the 2008 financial crisis. The law imposed new regulations on banks and financial institutions to prevent another collapse and created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to guard against predatory lending practices. On the foreign policy front, Obama ended the U.S. combat mission in Iraq, authorized the raid that killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, and negotiated the Iran nuclear deal to limit that country's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. However, Obama also faced many challenges and controversies during his presidency. His efforts to close the Guantanamo Bay detention camp, despite being well-intentioned, were stymied by Congress. The rise of ISIS in Iraq and Syria forced Obama to recommit U.S. troops to the region. His administration's use of drone strikes against terrorist targets raised questions about the legality and morality of the program. Domestically, Obama's push for stricter gun control measures after the Sandy Hook shooting failed in Congress, and his immigration reform efforts were blocked by conservative courts.
I can't go every day, can I?
Which you like better, these or these?
Joe, they're the same.
They capture different moods.
Since leaving office in 2017, Obama has kept a relatively low profile compared to some other former presidents. He has focused much of his energy on his Obama Foundation, which is building his presidential library in Chicago and works to inspire and empower the next generation of leaders. Obama has also hit the campaign trail for Democratic candidates, including his former Vice President Joe Biden in the 2020 and 2024 presidential races. In 2020, Obama released the first volume of his presidential memoirs, A Promised Land, which covers his early life, political rise, and first term in the White House. The book sold nearly 890,000 copies in its first 24 hours, setting a record for publisher Penguin Random House. Obama is currently working on a second volume covering his second term, which is expected to be released in the coming years. Despite some criticism from the left that he didn't go far enough with his agenda, Obama remains a highly popular figure among Democrats. A 2021 poll by C-SPAN of over 140 presidential historians ranked Obama as the 10th best president in U.S. history. He has also been praised for his post-presidency demeanor, largely staying out of the political fray while occasionally speaking out against the excesses of the Trump era and Republican Party. In April 2022, Barack and Michelle Obama returned to the White House for the unveiling of their official portraits. The event, hosted by President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden, continued a long-standing tradition and marked the first time the Obamas had been back to the White House since leaving office. For many Democrats, it was a nostalgic reminder of what they view as a more stable and dignified time in American politics. As an elder statesman, Obama has continued to champion many of the same causes he worked on as president, from combating climate change to promoting civil rights and democracy around the world. With his soaring oratory skills and ability to inspire younger generations, he remains a powerful voice on the political stage. While it's unclear exactly what the future holds for Obama, it's likely he will continue to be a hugely influential figure in American life and politics for years to come. George W. Bush, 2001 to 2009. George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States, served 2 terms in office from 2001 to 2009. He was elected in 2000 after a highly contested race against Democratic nominee Al Gore that was ultimately decided by the Supreme Court, which halted a recount in Florida and handed the presidency to Bush. Bush entered office with a Republican-controlled Congress and quickly set about implementing his conservative agenda. He passed sweeping tax cuts in 2001 and 2003, which he argued would stimulate economic growth, but critics claimed disproportionately benefited the wealthy. Bush also signed the No Child Left Behind Act, a major education reform bill that increased federal funding for schools but also mandated more standardized testing. However, the defining moment of Bush's presidency came on September 11, 2001, when terrorist attacks orchestrated by al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 people in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. In response, Bush declared a global war on terror and invaded Afghanistan to overthrow the Taliban regime that had harbored al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
In 2003, Bush ordered the invasion of Iraq, arguing that Saddam Hussein's regime possessed weapons of mass destruction and posed a grave threat to the United States. However, no such weapons were ever found, and the war became increasingly unpopular as it dragged on for years and American casualties mounted. Bush's handling of the war, along with his administration's response to Hurricane Katrina in 2005, led to a sharp decline in his approval ratings. On the domestic front, Bush signed the Medicare Prescription Drug Improvement and Modernization Act in 2003, which created a prescription drug benefit for seniors. He also attempted to reform Social Security by allowing younger workers to invest part of their payroll taxes in private accounts, but the proposal failed in Congress. In his second term, Bush faced a series of scandals, including the leaking of CIA operative Valerie Plame's identity and the abuses at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. As the 2008 financial crisis unfolded in the final months of his presidency, Bush signed the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, to bail out struggling banks and financial institutions. The move was controversial but widely credited with helping to prevent a complete economic collapse.
Hey, anybody ever told you you look like Jay Leno?
Hey, Mr. President, how are you, sir?
What the hell are you doing here?
Since leaving office in 2009, Bush has largely stayed out of the political spotlight. He returned to his home state of Texas and began painting as a hobby, even publishing a book of his portraits of military veterans in 2017. Bush has also worked on various humanitarian causes through the George W. Bush Institute, which focuses on issues like global health, economic growth, and human rights. While Bush left office with low approval ratings, his public image has improved somewhat in recent years, particularly among Democrats who have contrasted his presidency with Donald Trump's. When Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, Bush denounced the riot as an insurrection and said he was appalled by the reckless behavior of some political leaders. Bush has generally avoided directly criticizing his successors, though he did offer some veiled critiques of Trump's divisive rhetoric and isolationist foreign policy. He has also worked with other former presidents, including Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, on disaster relief efforts after major hurricanes. In a sign of how much the Republican Party has changed since his presidency, Bush has found himself at odds with many in his own party who have embraced Trump's brand of populist nationalism. Some have argued that Bush's compassionate conservatism and calls for a more inclusive GOP have little place in today's Republican Party. Despite the controversies and trials of his tenure in the Oval Office, Bush has said he remains proud of his presidency and believes history will judge him fairly. He has also expressed gratitude for his family's political legacy, noting that he and his father, George H.W. Bush, were only the second father-son duo to both serve as president. As he settles into the role of elder statesman, Bush's post-presidency has been marked by a quiet dignity that stands in contrast to the tumult of the Trump era. Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
Bill Clinton served as the 42nd President of the United States from 1993 to 2001, becoming the first member of the baby boomer generation to hold the office. A centrist Democrat, Clinton campaigned on a platform of putting people first and promised to focus on domestic issues like the economy, healthcare reform, and crime. Once in office, Clinton signed a number of major pieces of legislation, including the Family and Medical Leave Act, which required large employers to provide employees with unpaid leave for family and medical reasons. He also signed the Brady Bill, which mandated federal background checks on gun purchases, and the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, which included a ban on assault weapons that has since expired. On the economic front, Clinton worked with a Republican-controlled Congress to pass welfare reform and balanced budget legislation. The economy boomed during his tenure, with low unemployment, low inflation, and strong growth in the tech sector. Clinton also signed the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, which reduced trade barriers between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, but was criticized by some for leading to job losses in manufacturing. However, Clinton's presidency was also marred by scandal and controversy. In 1998, news broke that he had an affair with a White House intern named Monica Lewinsky. Clinton initially denied the relationship, famously saying, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." But after Lewinsky produced evidence of the affair, Clinton was forced to admit to it and apologize publicly. The scandal led to Clinton's impeachment by the House of Representatives in December 1998 on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice. After a trial in the Senate, Clinton was acquitted on both charges and allowed to serve out the remainder of his term. Despite the impeachment, Clinton left office with high approval ratings and the federal budget in surplus. Since leaving the White House in 2001, Clinton has remained active in public life. He founded the Clinton Foundation, which works on global issues like health, economic development, and climate change. The foundation has been praised for its work on HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment, but also criticized for accepting donations from foreign governments and corporations. Clinton has also been a prolific paid public speaker, giving talks to corporations, trade associations, and other groups around the world. While lucrative, this work has sometimes caused controversy, with critics arguing that the Clintons have blurred the lines between their charitable work and their personal enrichment. In 2008, Clinton campaigned heavily for his wife Hillary's presidential bid, which she ultimately lost to Barack Obama. He again hit the campaign trail for her in 2016, when she became the first woman to be nominated for president by a major U.S. political party. However, Hillary Clinton's loss to Donald Trump was a bitter disappointment for the Clintons and their supporters. Since Trump's election, Bill Clinton has become a more vocal critic of the Republican Party and its embrace of populist nationalism. He has warned that the U.S. is becoming more divided and that democracy itself is under threat. At the same time, Clinton's own legacy has come under increased scrutiny in light of the #Me Too movement, with some Democrats now questioning whether he should have resigned during the Lewinsky scandal.
I got to start playing again, maybe even take lessons again, just so I can stay up with her.
In recent years, Clinton's health has been a recurring concern. He underwent quadruple bypass surgery in 2004 and had 2 stents inserted in his heart in 2010. The Clintons have also faced tragedy with the death of their longtime friend and former chief of staff, Mac McLarty, in 2021. Despite the controversies and contentions surrounding his presidency, Bill Clinton remains a towering figure in American politics and a well-respected elder statesman on the global stage. His post-presidency has been marked largely by a commitment to tackling big issues and a belief in the power of public service. As he ages, Clinton's legacy is still being debated and reassessed, but there's no denying his impact on American life and his enduring influence on the Democratic Party. Donald Trump, 2017 to 2021.
Because we're going to make our country great again. We're going to make our country greater than ever before. It's going to be special, and the world is going to look up to us with respect. They're not going to be laughing at us. They right now are laughing at us.
Donald Trump, the 45th president of the U.S. of A., served a tumultuous single term in office from 2017 to 2021. Prior to his foray into politics, Trump was a well-known figure in the business world and a famous reality television star, best known for his role as the host of the popular show, The Apprentice. Despite his lack of political experience, Trump launched a divisive campaign that shocked the Republican establishment and upended American politics. As president, Trump pursued a staunchly conservative agenda focused on tax cuts, deregulation, and cracking down on immigration. In 2017, he signed a sweeping tax reform bill that significantly reduced corporate tax rates and provided tax breaks for many individuals. However, critics argued that the bill disproportionately benefited the wealthy. Trump also rolled back numerous Obama-era environmental regulations and withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement, drawing criticism from environmentalists. On immigration, Trump adopted a hardline approach. He implemented a controversial travel ban targeting several Muslim-majority countries, escalated deportations, and faced intense backlash for separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump also engaged in a bitter trade war with China and frequently criticized NATO allies, straining relationships with key trading partners and international allies. Throughout his presidency, Trump faced near-constant scandal and controversy. Multiple women accused him of sexual misconduct, allegations which he vehemently denied. The Mueller investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election loomed over much of his tenure. In 2019, the House of Representatives impeached Trump for allegedly pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. However, the Senate acquitted him in the subsequent trial. Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic also drew widespread criticism, with many accusing him of downplaying the severity of the virus and mismanaging the government's response. Since leaving office, Trump has remained a controversial figure. He has continued to put forward the claim that the 2020 election was maliciously stolen from him, an unsubstantiated allegation that culminated in the January 6 Capitol riot, where his supporters violently stormed the Capitol building. Trump's company, the Trump Organization, was indicted for tax fraud, and the Justice Department investigated him for mishandling classified documents and inciting the January 6th attack.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt.
In May 2024, Trump made history when he was found guilty on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments to an adult film star during the 2016 campaign. This conviction marked the first time a current or former U.S. president had been convicted of a crime. Trump faces sentencing in July 2024. Despite these legal troubles, Trump remains a dominant force within the Republican Party and is widely considered the front-runner for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. His enduring influence and legacy will undoubtedly be studied and debated for generations to come. When not focused on politics or legal battles, Trump is known for his love of golf and luxury properties. He frequently visits his various golf courses and resorts, using them as both leisure retreats and political staging grounds. Trump's opulent lifestyle and penchant for self-promotion have been hallmarks of his public persona long before his entry into politics. As the nation looks ahead to the 2024 election, Donald Trump's political future remains uncertain. However, there is no question that his norm-shattering presidency and stormy post-presidency have left an unerasable mark on American politics and the national discourse. Joe Biden, 2-0-2-1 present.
Say I'm ancient. I say I'm wise. You say I'm over the hill. Don Lemon would say that's a man in his prime.
Joe Biden, the 46th President of the United States, took office in January 2021 after a hard-fought election against incumbent Donald Trump. A seasoned politician with decades of experience as a senator and vice president, Biden promised to heal a divided nation and tackle pressing challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, economic recovery, racial justice, and climate change. In his first year, Biden oversaw an aggressive vaccination campaign that helped curb the pandemic's worst impacts. He also signed major legislation, including the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for COVID relief and the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. These early successes demonstrated Biden's commitment to delivering tangible results for the American people. On the global stage, Biden sought to restore U.S. alliances strained under Trump, recommitting to the Paris Climate Accord and taking a firm stance against Russia and China. However, the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in August 2021 drew bipartisan criticism and raised questions about Biden's foreign policy judgment. Biden has emphasized diversity and equity, nominating barrier-breaking figures like Kamala Harris, the first woman, African-American, and Asian-American vice president, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the Supreme Court. These historic appointments reflect Biden's pledge to build an administration that looks like America. However, Biden's ambitious agenda has faced roadblocks in a narrowly divided Congress. Key priorities like the Build Back Better social spending plan have stalled due to opposition from moderate Democrats and unified Republican resistance. These legislative setbacks have frustrated progressives and raised doubts about Biden's ability to deliver on his campaign promises. The president has also grappled with a series of crises that have tested his leadership. Rising inflation has strained household budgets, while a spate of mass shootings has once again reignited the age-old debate over gun violence. Biden has sought to address these challenges through executive actions and bipartisan negotiations, but progress has been incremental. Biden's approval ratings have sagged amid voter frustrations on issues from immigration to the economy. The president has also faced personal challenges, including the revelation that his son Hunter was found guilty of federal gun charges in June 2023. Despite these headwinds, Biden has remained focused on governing, relying on his trademark empathy and resilience to navigate difficult times. Looking ahead to a likely re-election bid in 2024, Biden faces questions about his age and stamina. If elected to a second term, he would be 86 years old by the end of his presidency. Yet, Biden has shrugged off these concerns, touting his experience and track record of delivering results. In moments of relaxation, Biden is known for his love of family, his fondness for ice cream, and his passion for classic cars. He often retreats to his home state of Delaware on weekends, where he enjoys spending time with his grandchildren and taking leisurely bike rides. As Biden enters the second half of his term, he remains committed to his vision of a more just, prosperous, and united America. While the ultimate shape of his legacy remains to be determined, There is no doubt that Biden's presidency has been one of consequential action in turbulent times for the nation. Through it all, he has sought to lead with dignity, empathy, and a steadfast belief in the promise of America.
We were laughing about going to restaurants and having to spend our time taking selfies with people.
At least they're still asking, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these presidents do you think has had the most significant impact on American politics and society since leaving office? Do you think former presidents should continue to play an active role in public life, or should they step back and let new leaders take the helm? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.